Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for coming. Some of you have come a long ways to be here today, and Mom and I really appreciate that. Some of you were even here just 3 weeks ago to say goodbye to my father-in-law, Joseph Rowe, and I know this must be especially hard for you. For those who don't know me, I am Gertrude's son, Michael, the younger of two. My brother John is here today. Mom passed away peacefully last Tuesday afternoon, just down the road from here at Inlet Coastal Resort Assisted Living Center. I'd like to share a little bit about Mom and some of her experiences with you today. Mom was born Gertrude Martha Manning in East Providence, Rhode Island on December 24th, 1944. She was born to Edna Frances Phillips, age 35, and Alfred Benjamin Manning, age 60. She was named after one of her aunts, Emma Gertrude Manning. Mom had two sisters and was the middle child. Sister Ruthie was the oldest, and Emily the younger. Emily is here today. When Mom was just 5 years old, her mother had a nervous breakdown. Grandmother was hospitalized, and she never came back home to live with them. My grandfather tried raising his girls on his own, but eventually the state came in and they took the girls away. According to Mom, he was told that he could not raise the girls because he was not a mother, quote unquote. It was a different time back then. The girls went into a foster home. Thankfully, the home was close enough to my grandfather that he could visit often. Grandfather was a carpenter, and he even offered his services to the home for free so he could see and spend time with his girls. Mom was born and raised in Riverside, Rhode Island. However, Mom covered a lot of ground in her lifetime. She joined the Army right after high school. She served from 1964 to 1967, making her a Vietnam veteran. The Army wanted to make Mom a nurse, but Mom was adamant that she wanted to be a cook. She loved to cook. Mom did her basic training at Fort McClellan, Alabama, and then she went off to cooking school at Fort Knox, Kentucky. After that, she was stationed at Fort McPherson, Georgia. Mom was part of the Women's Army Detachment Group number 3180. It was at Fort McPherson, Georgia that Mom met my late father, James Irvin Parks, also stationed at Fort McPherson. In April of '65, Dad was assigned kitchen patrol duty, and Mom became his immediate supervisor. 8 months later, they married in Gaffney, South Carolina, on December 19th, 1965. Shortly after that, somehow Mom became pregnant with my older brother, and my father was sent off to Vietnam immediately after he was born. My mother was left alone for a year with a newborn, and she ran the household on $275 a month. That's how much my father was paid each month while he was in Vietnam. Dad came back safely, and after being home for a year, they agreed he would go back. They needed the money. For a bonus of less than $1,000, Dad went back and he spent another year in Vietnam. Being in Vietnam provided an extra $55 a month in combat pay. Dad came back safely, and I was born 9 months later. In total, Dad spent 2 years in Vietnam, while Mom held down the fort with a small child. In addition to Rhode Island, Kentucky, and Georgia, Mom lived in Washington State, California, and Maine before moving down to Myrtle Beach to be near us. She lived down here for 13 years. Later in life, Mom had a chance to go to college. She graduated from Johnson & Wales University in Providence, Rhode Island with an associate's degree in business management. Mom was always good with money, and at the time of her passing did not owe a penny to anybody. Through trials and tribulations, thick and thin, Mom raised 2 boys and shared 29 years of marriage. As if life had not been hard enough, then the pandemic came along. Mom went from walking 2 miles a day to needing a walker. In the span of 30 months, Mom had breast cancer, neck surgery, back surgery, hernia surgery, bowel surgery, and pneumonia. During that time, she was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. I used to kid Mom and say she had Parkinson's disease. It was the Parkinson's that got Mom in the end. Mom was in a steady decline these past 4 years. Mom led by example with hard work and Puritan values, the likes of which you rarely see anymore, oftentimes working 2 jobs. Mom came from the finest stock. The Manning family has been in America for 12 generations, with direct lineage back to the Mayflower. Mom's great-grandfather times 3 was a private in the Revolutionary War. Her great-grandfather times 5 fought in the French-Indian War. Her great-grandfather times 9 came over on the Mayflower and was one of 41 that signed the original Mayflower Compact, which was a precursor to the Declaration of Independence. Mom's father served in the Connecticut National Guard. Her husband spent 23 years in the Army, and her son was in the Coast Guard. There is a long line of service to our country. Mom's hobbies were cooking, sewing, and gardening. She even sewed our Halloween costumes when we were little. Most of the vegetables we ate came from the backyard. Mom always had good intuition. She was convinced it was ESP, extrasensory perception. At times, it was unexplainable. Somehow, she just knew. I remember one hot summer day when I was very little, we were invited by the neighbor to swim in the river at Sabin Point with her and her children. Mom said no thanks, and she kept us at home. That day, the undertow was strong, and the neighbor lost 2 of her 5 children. I could have been lost to the river, but Mom protected me with her intuition. Later in life, I remember once Mom pleaded with me not to drive home until the next day. I didn't listen. I tried driving home that night, and I wrecked my car. There were many more examples of Mom's uncanny ESP. She continued to protect John and I with her intuition for years to come. Mom was a class act, a product of good upbringing. Not once in my life did I ever hear my mother say anything stronger than shit. In that regard, Mom and I were not alike. The quality of the mother-son bond between Mom and I could not have been stronger. When I lost my father, I realized that nobody was coming to help me by the side of the road. Nobody was coming to bail me out of jail anymore. I was on my own. Now that I've lost my mother, I will have to put my own Band-Aid on and make my own chicken noodle soup when I'm not feeling well. I'm on my own. Times like this are especially hard on us because we are suddenly made aware of our own mortality. The subconscious understanding that we are next sinks in. the value of relationships and the importance of legacy come to the forefront. Before Mom left us, she told me how grateful she was that she had these past several years together with us. Mom even lived with Donna and I for a year and a half. I am especially grateful to my wife, Donna, for all her support and love towards Mom. It wasn't always easy. I had a chance to say goodbye to Mom before I left on my last trip. We hugged. I kissed Mom on the cheek. I told her how much I loved her. She told me to take care of myself. Mom spent the last almost 2 years here in Murrells Inlet, just down the road at Inlet Coastal Resort and Living Center. She liked it there, and she was happy. I would like to thank them for their kindness and dedication. The family appreciates it. I would also like to thank Agape Hospice Care for their service, care, and support. We appreciate it. Mom liked cats. We had several cats growing up. I recently found out that Saint Gertrude is the patron saint of cats. Yep. Thank you, Sue. I'd like to share with you the feast of Saint Gertrude. Dearest Saint Gertrude, ask you I pray, watch over my kitties this and each day. Protect them from those who might wish them harm. Keep them at home, all safe from the storm. Give me the sense to care for them well, and provide me the strength never to yell. And Gertrude, the last thing I beseech from thee, protect my couch from sharp claws and carpet from pee. Amen. As we say goodbye to Mom, let's remember her for her love, her hard work, and her determination, and for setting a good example to live by. There's much more that I could say, and there are many people who couldn't make it today, doctor's appointments, and people who live far away. So I'd like to close by quoting an inscription on the gravestone of Mom's 6th great-grandfather, Samuel Manning, Jr. It says, "The sweet remembrance of the just shall flourish when she sleeps in dust." Mom, you will be deeply missed, but never forgotten. Your love, your laughter, and your spirit will forever be a part of us. Rest in peace. You deserve it. Thank you all again for coming today. I appreciate it.